My time is at the ranking member.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dr. Zurbuchen, NASA recently awarded contracts to 3 companies as part of the commercial lunar payload services that will deliver landers to the moon's surface. A condition of the procurement stipulates that awardees must be U.S. companies. One of the companies that won a contract features a design team from India that competed in the Google Lunar X Prize. A recent article by Quartz was titled, "America's First Private Moon Lander Will Be Engineered in India." While this partnership appears to comply with NASA's solicitation, the optics obviously are not good. Can you assure the U.S. taxpayer that we aren't simply outsourcing space exploration when we have companies designing lunar landers right here in America?
Thank you for that question. Of course, you recognize that there's 3 selections we made, including 2 that where such questions did not come up. The one that you're talking about, this particular company, has to undergo, before we spend any dollars on it, has to undergo a full review of the very question that you're asking. We already told them we actually reviewed it at the beginning, and we want to use the very same rules that we're using for launch vehicles as well, that basically stipulate that the majority of all of the manufacturing and design of this particular lander has to be done in the U.S. We're going to go through one more review, an in-depth review, to ensure that very fact.
Okay, thank you. And Dr. Sykes, we often hear that NASA should have a balanced science portfolio. However, other agencies like NOAA fund Earth science activities. The NSF funds astronomy, and NOAA and the Department of Defense fund heliophysics. How important is NASA funding to the planetary science community, and are there other significant sources of funding for planetary science other than NASA?
Mr. Ranking Member, that's a very important question. The planetary science community kind of stands out from these other communities because planetary science in the modern age is the creation of NASA. Astronomy was around for hundreds of years and is deeply embedded in universities. Heliophysics, there's communication concerns about space weather, there's industry and large industries associated with the important areas of our science. Planetary really has NASA as its sole customer, and so NASA funding for our space exploration enterprise is basically the only market in town. And so the stability of that funding is critical for maintaining our ability to engage in that activity into the future.
Okay. And then Dr. Zurbuchen, one more time. I represent Johnson Space Center, home of the Astromaterials Acquisition and Curation Office that documents, preserves, and prepares samples from the Moon, asteroids, comets, solar wind, and Mars. And is this office prepared to receive new lunar samples from future missions, or would additional resources be necessary to fully study these very important artifacts?
We're currently actually kicking off an analysis of that very question. See, there's samples that will come back with 2 characteristics we have not had before. The first type of sample, especially from the southern areas of the moon, or the polar areas of the moon, I should say, because the North also has them, right, are cold samples. So cryo type of samples that we want to bring back and hold there. Those are samples that the likes of which we have not had before. The second type of sample that we're thinking about is coming back from areas where we want to analyze biology potential, or at least the transition of chemistry to biology. In both cases, we believe there's additional investments required, and we want to work with the center to that. I already informed the center director that will occur.
Okay. And lastly, Dr. Sykes again, NASA plans on leveraging public-private partnerships to explore the moon. They've also stated that they will take a more commercial approach. What customer other than NASA do you see on the horizon that would make this commercial?
Well, everything's commercial at the end, Congressman. I think that this is a new path for developing new vendors for the government. I mean, we've had the innovations by SpaceX and other companies that have developed rockets outside of the normal process and given us some great products that we could purchase. But at the moment, the only customer that I see, and I can be wrong, for what's being done right now under the quote commercial thing, is with the